Welcome into the Roots Rundown. We are back after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't even know how many days. I think it's about maybe going on a week now. My goodness, it has been a while since I've seen my lovely Roots heads. Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. Today is March 12th. My God, it's been a while. I can't believe that. And 2026. And today's episode is titled "Welcome Back to Target and to Middle East Wars." So we're gonna get all into that in today's episode, and it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. I'm actually while I was sick, that's why I was actually out. Let me just give you guys a little rundown. I know folks were I think a few people, I got a few messages. People were asking me where I was, what happened, and yeah, I was sick. I came down with something probably from the kids. Fever, down, out. Don't you just hate when you have a fever? Like I feel like whenever I'm sick, it's like that's the time where I wish that like I took my health more seriously. So I'm like, man, not more seriously, but I appreciate being normal more than not, right? Where you're just like, man, you have a fever and you're sweaty and you don't know what's going on. You're like, no, I just wish I was just back normal. Not even feeling good. I don't even want to feel good. I just want to feel okay. I just want to feel okay when you have the fevers and the chills and the aches and the quakes and the sweats and the regrets and the bubbles and the troubles. It's no fun. It's no fun. So that was me for the past since today's Thursday, since Saturday, and I really bounced back last night. So yeah, it's been a rough go of it, but I'm gonna keep my eye to all things. If you guys follow me on social media on both of my pages, and of course the Radical Roots page. We try to keep you guys up to date on everything that we're talking about or what we're seeing or what's important to us, because this world don't stop. This train does not stop, I should say. But yeah, so yeah, again, we're back. Welcome back. And with the war in Iran, that's what it is. It's a war in Iran. It's an illegal war. Dare I say, are any wars legal? Are any wars moral or just? Are any wars worth us shedding blood for? Because I think war is the extension of the end of the ability to communicate. I saw a post that was really interesting. It said, if you go back in time, wars are always the far right of this side versus the far right of this country, right? So if you look at, I think the examples they gave was like when uh, Britain went to war with France. It was, it was the far right of this country versus the far right of that country, versus, every time America's gotten to war, it's been under Republicans. Now, granted, it's been perpetuated by Democrats because America's a right wing country. But I just thought that was an interesting perspective because a lot of times what we've been taught is strength is really just submissiveness. It's really just servitude. It's really just people who are willing to jump and turn on a pivot for some other strong man, someone who they've been told is their authority, that they're not going to question, that they will, lick spittle and they will do whatever they say. Sorry, let me make sure the vocals are moisturized. Um, but looking at this war here, we've seen a metronome, if you will, a movement of what the rationale is for going into war. Um, I'm realizing I still have this QR code on the screen. It's been a while, folks. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Radical Cruise podcast and all of its platforms. This is how we maintain our base and make sure we continue to grow. As you can see, we have the QR code on the screen here. Please click that and donate a couple bucks here or there. That is how we maintain this platform as well. And we do other cool stuff that we do. Sorry about that. I realize I'm talking. I'm like, I still got QR codes up. Haven't even said like, share, and subscribe. Haven't even done the usual. This is why we need a producer. We need someone to help us out. But yes, but the war is the extension of the failure to communicate. It is either they're always either immoral, and they're always either unjust or they're always unnecessary. Because it really shows that there are people that want to have a maximalist stance on their worldview. They want the other powers to be submissive to them. They want to dominate other people. And really, to a degree, war culture is rape culture. And we're in Women's History Month, and I want to address, now granted, rape culture is not women's history, but it is something that impacts women. Same way racism is not Black people's history, but it's what impacts Black people. And uh, as we look at this kind of imperialist, expansionist view that Israel has for a greater Israel, that's very much rape culture, right? Me kill you. You made me occupy you. You make me put you in internment camps. You made me kill your children. In fact, it was Golda Meir, who was, I think, the third or fourth prime minister of Israel, who was from Ukraine, who once said, "I will never forgive the Arabs for making us kill their children." So there is this that is a rapist mindset. Like, I won't forgive her for wearing that dress. I won't forgive her for looking at me that way. I won't forgive her for brushing up against my knee or saying hello to me. And again, going back to the museum of what were they wearing, there is no logic behind a rapist mindset. And imperialism, right, taking something that is not yours, expanding into something, taking reaching into a country, the land, the resources, the precious goods of another place, other land, something that is sacred, is very much rape culture. And this is also why in most wars, what do we see? Increase of the occupying force, rapes. And most of the time, like most racists, like most rapists, it's usually always projection. It's usually always, well, they're the savages, right? They said the natives were scalping settlers. In reality, that came from the settler colonial project to scalp the natives, right? But then you said the natives are scalping people. They said the Black people were licentious and rapacious and they'll rape the white women. But in reality, the reason why slavery was attached to matriarchy, or it was a matrilineal line, was because they knew these white men were raping these enslaved women. And you cannot have consent when fear is present or when someone is under duress, like, I don't know, in chains. So there is this reflexive nature to say, well, it's them. They're the ones that are the rapist. And I had a video. I don't think I played it here, but let's see if I can get it up here for a second. But it was of, let me see if I can get it here. If not, I'll try to play it through my Instagram. But it was of what we did in Iraq, and this is what we're worried about happening in Iran right now. Because when we don't know this history, we're as they say, you're doomed to repeat it, right? Um, but let me see if I can find it. Give me 1 second, folks. I should have uploaded it. I know. I'm rusty. I'm rusty. I'm rusty. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Da, 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 da. I can play it here then. I can play it here on my screen share device. But it makes me think about how deep we go into our delusion that we're the heroes as Americans. I'm going to play it here. I got to pull it up. Do screen share. And of course, people will tell you, "Oh no, this will not happen. This is a just war. This is something that we will not allow to happen." Okay, here we go.
Boots on the ground in Iran will look like. Just take a look at the actions of US soldiers in Iraq 20 years ago. Over 1 million Iraqis dead and only dozens of convictions, not hundreds, dozens. One such conviction was the Mahmoudiyya rape and killings. The gang rape and murder of 14-year-old Iraqi girl Abir Qasim Hamza al-Janabi, and the murder of her family in March of 2006. Abir and her family lived roughly 200 yards away from a US checkpoint in the town of Yusufiyya, and she endured daily sexual harassment from US soldiers while passing that checkpoint. They would watch her while she did her chores, while she tended to the garden. They frequently searched the family's home just so that they could run their hands across her cheek. It terrified her, and it terrified her family. Her parents had arranged for her to stay out of the home, to stay with her uncle for her safety. And then one day, 5 US soldiers went to the family's home. They separated the residents. They sent Abir's parents and her sister in one room and sent Abir into another. 2 soldiers broke Abir's arms and proceeded to rape her, while a soldier in another room shot and killed both her parents and her little sister. And then that same soldier who killed her family came into the other room and he raped Abir too. And to cover up their crimes, they killed her. They killed her, and then they burned her body to destroy the evidence. They burned their clothes, they hid their weapons, they knew what they did was a crime and they were trying to bury it. And afterwards, they went back to their base to celebrate their kill, while Abir's 2 brothers, who were out at the time, came home to find their family members' charred remains. Those boys were 9 and 11, by the way. They were orphaned. They tried to blame the murder on other Muslims, on insurgents, and it wasn't investigated for months. And the only reason it was investigated is because another soldier stepped forward. Those soldiers were investigated, they were sentenced to life in prison, but they remain some of the only convictions from war crimes in Iraq, and only because another soldier decided to do the right thing. This is what a US invasion looks like. This is what boots on the ground looks like, and it'll be catastrophic for the women of Iran. If you want to get...
So, if that story doesn't make you double think, the hero narrative, as I like to say, the axiomatic good that America believes itself to be, that we've been taught, that we're always the good guys, that we're always the ones that are the white knights, of course, white knights, on the white horse, in the shining armor, coming to save the day. But the thing about shining armor is, if there's no scratches on it, then it's not tested. And this hermetically sealed version of history has really dulled our senses to the evils that we perpetuated around the world and in this country. So when people are telling you things like history or critical thinking is divisive, it's because they personally want to maintain a lie. They personally want to maintain the lie of whatever keeps them privileged, whatever which keeps them comfortable, and they're usually one and the same. They're usually one and the same, and they don't want to say that. They want to think they're a good person. Like, well, no, if I know I'm privileged, I'm a white man, or I'm a man, or I'm able-bodied, or I'm straight, but not learning about other stories allows you to become numb to those who are oppressed. Maybe even by your ignorance. Your ignorance can oppress people because your ignorance can allow you to vote wrong. Your ignorance can allow you to turn a blind eye. Your ignorance can allow you to become callous towards someone who's trying to scream out and ask for help. Your ignorance can allow you to take advantage of someone. Your ignorance can allow you to uh, take an unfair advantage that if you had more knowledge, that you probably wouldn't want to take. So these are the things that we must learn and accept. And those are only three men that were convicted of sexual crimes during the Iraq invasion. So just imagine the thousands and thousands and thousands of people who are just walking the streets right now. We have troops right now, a stat that I saw that since 9/11, since 9/11, suicide has taken more lives of troops than combat has. Since 9/11, suicide has taken 4 times the amount of lives of troops than combat has. Because we have a society that does not care about the human condition. We have a society that is rooted in the perpetuation of male dominance, right? We have a society that is rooted in the continuation of male hegemony. And a lot of the talks right now are going around about, oh, down with the patriarchy, which I'm 100% in agreement with, and uplifting of the matriarchy. And I think it confuses some people where, especially people who are unevolved and are more toxic, they say things like, well, uh, I think, if it's they want the matriarchy, that has to be the patriarchy in heels. And that's not it, right? The patriarchy is a society that's centered around adult men. The matriarchy is a society that's centered around children. And I think I brought this up when I was on with Rom on one of our full episodes. But that's how we should be looking at our societies because we cared about all children. It would make more sense if it would benefit more people if we cared about all children. And let's leave it there. Because healthy, educated, and loved and engaged children will change the world. But if we have children that by the age of 3, this is documented, learn that the boys are strong and boys wear blue and girls are weak and they play with dolls and white people are this and black people are that and everybody wants to be the cowboy but never the Indian, and we don't play with the doll that's in a wheelchair and GI Joe's the tough guy, right? You see, we're grooming our children not to be full humans but to walk into a way that almost allows them to become less than, to become hollow versions of what they could be, their potential, right? I was talking to a friend over a couple days ago while I was sick, FaceTime on the couch, and we were talking, and uh, she was saying that like I want to make sure that my son, he's in college, my son, he's able to go into the world and be his full self. But I feel like we might have made missteps, and I said that's okay. We didn't know what we didn't know 5, 10. When your son was 10 years old 15 years ago. But we have to now acknowledge that to make sure whenever your son has children, he's doing the right things to do the best he can in the world that he operates in. Because seeing that story with that young girl is heartbreaking, right? Like, how could you hear that story and say, we are the good guys? And I think about in Vietnam, all the people that had all the children out of wedlock, clearly out of wedlock, all these soldiers, all these GIs. There's a bunch of babies or grown people now, old people now, that are in Vietnam that are the children of GIs during the Vietnam War. And I'm sure some may have been consensual, but I guarantee you the overwhelming majority are due to rape. I have this gun. I got these dog tags. I'm here to kill gooks. This ain't nothing but a piece of pussy for me to get while I'm here. I have heard these conversations from when I was a child from my mom's friend, because my mom used to work at the VA. She's a nurse. She's a nurse practitioner now, but at the time, she was a nurse at the VA. And one of the guys that she knew his name was Mr. Mike. I don't know if he's still here or if he's made transition yet, but he talked about how they used to, he called them running girls. But as I'm now evolved and more listening with my third ear, watching my third eye, he's absolutely raping those women, him and his battle buddies, because that's what you get um, with imperialism. You have the carte blanche to do whatever you want to whomever you want. Is that Roms? You getting on? I saw the bloop. Maybe I'm tripping. Anyway, but so I just want to just touch on that because I mean, as we're going back into a forever war, it's infuriating. Okay, cool. Appreciate that, Rom. Oh, Rom's doing some technical stuff on the back end. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Uh, we're getting a lot of these calls right now for all of us to come together to defend the troops and back the troops, and the war drums are beating by the media, and our politicians, of course, one half of our political establishment is like, yeah, bomb, brown people, kill little girls, we don't give a damn, holy war, Armageddon. The other half is fascist enablers and all, they're wringing their hands and we don't mind you bombing the girls, you have to ask us to bomb the girls first. But this too is a faulty logic. This too is a faulty logic. And I saw this video from, you guys may know him as Josh Doss, Doss Discourse on Instagram, smart brother. But he had this video a few days ago, and this really brings it home as we talk about, again, if that's what our troops do, what about our troops' hand in where we're at? So check this out.
Support the troops, then you should be voting against funding this war so that we get our troops out of harm's way.
But how did the troops vote?
Hold on.
How did the troops vote? My name is Joshua Doss. I'm a data scientist and a political researcher. How did the troops vote? We're going to hear a lot of people over the next coming days saying things like, we have to support our troops, keep our troops safe by opposing the war. But, troops vote in elections. How did the troops vote? What do the data say? 66% of active military voted for Donald Trump. We all had a role to play last November in that election. We all had a role to play. That's how a healthy democracy works. Right. I want to be careful to not intellectually infantilize our troops now that the person that they overwhelmingly voted for might be putting them in a hostile situation. I want to be careful to not infantilize their parents as well.
Others out there are worried that they're going to see their sons get in and daughters get involved in this.
Over a third of active military have veteran parents. How did veterans vote?
Hold on.
64% voted for Trump. Okay, well, if we are intent around election time on telling people that their vote counts, your vote counts, your vote counts, and then we ignore the causal relationship between people's votes and the situation that the country is in, we create a contradiction that undermines democracy. And I will be damned if I undermine democracy. Your vote does matter, actually, quite a bit. In fact, we're all about to see how much all of our votes matter. And yes, we can empathize with people who might now see their lives in danger and be honest with people about the impacts of their votes. I respect your intelligence too much to not be honest with you about it. One of these candidates was clearly more erratic. One of these candidates was clearly more impulsive. One of these candidates pulled us out of the Iran nuclear deal. Hell, one of these parties was the three largest boots on the ground wars we've had in the last, 70 years? The Iraq War, the Afghanistan War, the Gulf War, were all started under Republican presidents. This was on the syllabus. To be clear, I don't want you to go to war. I hope they don't send you to war. That's why I voted the way that I voted. Anyway, thank you for your service. I deeply wish you voted differently.
That's it. I mean, that's it, that's it. I think Josh Doss, if you guys don't follow him, please follow him, Josh Doss, on Instagram. We have to, one thing about America is that we love to be big and bold, and we love to say that America does this, America does that, as if like anything that was positive that happened in America, like especially white people, have done it in shifts. They came together and each person took time to build the Washington Monument. Each person laid a brick shift after shift, and that is not the way that this country was established. And if we honestly did the true reflection, which they do in many other countries, many other I hate to say advanced, many other westernized countries like France, even in England where they don't have a First Amendment, they take politics very seriously. It doesn't mean right wing and racists don't and homophobes and sexists don't rise to the top, because that's what all these societies were built on. But people take it amongst themselves to be in the know, and they don't lean on pure myth making. But that's what this country is. This country is a myth. What's his name? Jason Cruz? No, I'm gonna get the book wrong. But a great book on that is, I'm doing it, Lorena. Myth America by Kevin Cruz. I couldn't think of the name. Kevin Cruz and Julianne Zelzer. This breaks up around, God, how many myths of this country? 20 myths. And the very first one, the very first myth they break up in this book is American exceptionalism. Great book. So, but to Josh's point is, these people voted for this. And we have a very hard time saying, we had Chris Murphy at the beginning saying, we got to protect the troops. But if the troops overwhelmingly voted for this, and if the parents or veterans overwhelmingly voted for this, and if the majority of the largest swath of a voting base voted for this, and if we love to say the word democracy, which means, and we have a representative democracy, especially Republicans love to say we don't have a democracy, we have a republic, which is a form of democracy. We have a representative democracy where we all don't personally vote on every single bill that comes to the House. We have representatives that represent around 730,000 people that go to DC to vote on the things so we can go about our lives. Because how busy would you be having to vote on every single piece of legislation that comes across Congress's desk, right? You'd be voting on every single post office and every single street naming and every single monument, right? You don't have time to do that. So we have to look at it as that, yeah, this is what we wanted. You wanted the fascist pizza. You got the fascist pizza. And like now we're sitting here like, oh no, like the troops are in danger and the economy is crashing in World War III and we're blowing this, then the third. It's like, well, this is what it is. And I also got into it with someone a couple of days ago who was it's a white woman who's an ally per se. And me and her in conversation, someone else jumped in and said, they asked her, are you a bridge builder? Are you going to be the bridge? And she said, yeah. And and after all this, I'm kind of thinking like, I don't know if I want a bridge. I don't know if I want a bridge. I feel like sometimes we might need to I want a moat. Maybe I want a moat like water in it around my people, and I want alligators in it. Maybe set that bitch on fire. And it's like, because I don't, there's no examples of in the past of other groups caring about Black people. Dr. John Henry Clark said, Africans have no friends across the world. Be careful, he says. If you look beneath the surface, you will realize Africans have no friends. And he meant also the descendants of Africans, us, folks in the diaspora. You look at every single country and folks that are more, you'd be Afro-Latino, Afro-Venezuelan, Afro-Cuban, Puerto Rican, Afro whatever, Afro-Ukrainian. Those people are always treated worse. Africans have no friends. So when we're looking at this war, where we know we're over-indexed in the military, being led by someone who thinks that we're apes, and someone who thinks that we don't deserve any positions, and being led by a man who, who gets caught on signal chats, skeet keg breath, who is out here saying this is a holy war, and he's praying that God steals his hands and readies his trigger fingers and all kind of stupid shit. We have to understand that maybe, I don't want a bridge. And maybe we shouldn't want a bridge. 66% of the troops voted for this, 64% of veterans. And these are the people that voted for the man that says, I like people who weren't captured. I think the people are heroes who were not captured. Remember he said about John McCain? The Maverick? One time ran against Barack Hussein Obama. They voted for him. 66% of the people signed up voted for that. 64% of people that are no longer in uniform voted for that. Mr. I didn't serve, I got bone spurs. Listen, the couch won in 2024. 90 million people didn't vote. Also, misinformation, disinformation, and voter disenfranchisement ran rampant in 2024. These are all truths. These are all truths. And as someone who was a Democratic Party chair at the time, as someone who was actively knocking doors, as someone who was getting candidates to run and doing the hard work and crossing one of the 8th largest counties in North Carolina to try to get people to get involved, I also took personal resentment towards the Biden-Harris administration's policy in Gaza. But I still voted for Kamala Harris. Absolutely. I'm a part of the 80%. Hold on now. Black folks, we getting A's and B's. 92% of Black women, 80% of black men rejected this administration. That's what I say. We rejected Trump and his administration. And I wanted someone to protest. That's what I voted for. I voted to have someone that we could protest down, someone that we can push into a direction. And this is where the conversation gets kind of hairy when folks are like, well, no, two birds of the same wing, they're the same party. I mean, listen, the Democrats are cowards. No, I'm not gonna disagree with you on that. But I don't think you can say the exact same things would happen if Kamala Harris were president. I don't think that we would be bombing ships off the coast of the Caribbean. I don't think that we would have bombed Caracas and taken a sovereign president and now he's sitting in detention in New York. I don't think that we would have been bombing Nigeria on Christmas. I don't think that we would have, bombed a school with 168 little girls. I don't think, I just don't think these things would have happened. And again, you can't disprove a counterfactual. I'm just, right? Now, would she have still been complicit in the genocide? Absolutely. And she does not deserve any grace for her hand in the genocide of the Palestinians. We failed the Palestinians, same way we failed trans people. And she didn't say anything about trans people. They had to pull some clip of her like 5 years ago of like her when she was talking about trans people getting gender affirming care in prison, and they used that. So, but this is the problem. So when we're talking about building these bridges, maybe they wanted this bridge. Maybe they wanted to go there. Maybe they wanted to go there. I don't want to go there. And the white woman I was talking about who said, who was asked, is she a bridge? She was doing what she needs to do. She's getting her white brethren and sistren together to go and, get their shit together, right? Talking about, we got to unpack white supremacy. We got to unpack patriarchy. She's doing the right things. But I think at this point, what's the quote? If you came here to help me, you're wasting your time. But if you came here because you realize your fate is inextricably tied to mine, then we can work together. I forget who said that quote. but that's what, and a lot of our white compatriots who, especially white women who like to take it, who like to take positions of leadership within politics. Oh, excuse me. They don't realize, like, you can't help us. You can't help us. In fact, your will to help us is actually harming us, because what you're telling us is that, like, you're more afraid of white people than we are. We're not afraid of white people. This is why we act with the linked fate phenomena as Black people. So as we look at these upcoming flag draped coffins, because they will be coming, we have to ask ourselves, isn't this not what we want? And I think still got to rattle, folks. Sorry. We still have to understand that some people got to feel it. Do I want anybody to die? No. But the thing that leaves out is that people are dying. So I can't say I want the deaths to stop right at, if they have an American passport, or if they're an American citizen. The deaths, it's collateral damage when someone else. It's, they have died if they're Palestinian, but they were murdered if they're Israeli, or these slain troops. Who's the aggressor? Who hit first? We talked about that in the last episode before I got sick, is that the idea that, if I knew that they were going to hit my neighbor, they were going to hit me. This logic is all over the place. There's no exit strategy. There's no plan. There's no objectives. They don't know what they're doing. This is what you get when you have a perpetual ninth grader running the most lethal killing machine on the planet. In Cuba, you're next. And they're already killing Cuba. John Mearsheimer, who wrote, who's an author, he was recently interviewed a couple of days ago, and he said that, I don't know if it was Reuters or it was some company that does research. I'll find it and post it on my socials. But it said that they took from 1971 to 2021, what was the impact of our sanctions on people around the world? And they said that we killed 38 million people with just sanctions alone. 38 million people did not get to live out their full natural lives due to United States of America sanctions on their countries. Not because of a bullet, not because of a bomb, strictly due to the austerity measures placed on them by the United States government. And we're talking about protected troops. What are the troops doing? Jamila Jamil, the actress from The Good Place and various other things, she was talking about strong men and how people say, oh, how do you date strong men? You're so strong yourself. She said, a lot of times we think strong men are these alpha male muscular people. She said, a lot of times these are the most submissive people. So this is when I signed up for jobs where they're submissive, like police officer or army. Someone, yes, give me my next order, sir. No shade to Black folks to do it. I understand. We get ourselves out of situations that we weren't born into. I'm talking about people that are like, the people that are like, they get into it because, this is who I am. It's my identity. You rarely find a Black vet that thinks that way. You rarely find a Black vet that thinks that way. A lot of us, I'm trying to get that charge. I'm trying to get that Hellcat. You know what I mean? I lived in Fayetteville for a little while. So I knew them Negroes. Trust me, they used to call out crazy. But she says that, like, a truly strong man is someone that is more self-actualized, someone that does question power, someone that does use his masculinity to challenge masculinity, someone that does use their status to push back. And that's what a strong man is. And I think if we understood masculinity outside of domination, rather than pushing back towards power, I think that would allow us to move towards the matriarchy. Again, taking care of children, taking care of the most vulnerable, taking care of those who are in situations where they can't stop a bomb. You can't pray your way out of a bomb. You can't liberate yourself out of a bomb. And I thought about that because all the people that I know that are successful, that are, oh, you think they got it going on, the limits of what they can discuss is around money, material things, and maybe sports, and sports. And then maybe some pop culture stuff, like, you watching the new Game of Thrones or something. That's woefully insufficient for this moment. We need people to be strong. We need people to look at power and to know that maybe your job or your degree or your level of influence or why you even have this stature is actually being the grease of the murder machine. Again, 38 million people were murdered due to our sanctions, due to how we control money, due to how we control resources, due to how we check, oh, this country's no good, this country can't get access, this country cannot, because we are the big swinging dicks. When really there's no smaller dick energy than there is to harm somebody. Big dick energy is picking somebody up. Oh yeah, get up here. That's right. That's that big dick energy. That's taking care of people in all ways. You know what I'm talking about? But we have a bunch of little dick motherfuckers running this country. Look at Donald Trump. Look at Pete Hegseth. Ben Shapiro, who was making fun of Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion's WAP because they're like, he said, WAP, wet ass pussy. My wife's a doctor. And she said, wet ass pussy. They must have something wrong with their vaginas. Ben, you just told on yourself, brother. You just told on yourself. You just told on yourself, brother. You told on yourself. So we're gonna keep our eyes on this because this is not going anywhere. Trump says it's gonna be 2 weeks. Get out of here. Get out of here. Ugh. All right. Next story. I forgot how to do a segue, but I don't care. You know what? We're just rock and rolling today, y'all. We got some news. Blacks, have we heard about this? Have we heard about this?
In our weekly Negro meetings, this never came up. Who said the boycott over? Jamal Bryant? No shade to Jamal Bryant. Great order. Yeah, he talk good shit sometimes. He don't tell us what to do. And this is not to Jamal Bryant. This is to Target. This is to America. There's no one person that controls black people. There's no leader in the black community. And that's by design. Because every time we had one, you killed them. Every time we had one, you arrested her and killed her. Yeah. Or you sterilized her. Shout out Fannie Lou Hamer. So there's no leader telling us what we gonna do and what we not gonna do. And let me tell you something. Black women said we not going to that goddamn store. Yeah. So, I mean, shout out to Jamal Bryant for trying to take the lead. I don't know why you would want to do such a thing when this country is notorious for killing leaders and schools of girls. Why you would want to step up to that plate and eat, I have no idea. Do your thing. But stop with boycott. Y'all getting that Kmart treatment. You can revamp, revise, renew. We not going back. What are you talking about? The DEI boycott over. Girl, bye.
McScuse me, bitch. Have y'all seen that meme? There's that lady with that crazy wig on, talking about going to trying to get a refund at McDonald's or something. She had a crazy fucking wig on. She's like, McScuse, man. Anyway, bad joke. Whatever. McScuse. I use that a lot. McScuse me, bitch. But anyway, yeah. So Pastor Jamal Bryant, Nina Turner, and Tamika Mallory did a speech in, I don't know if it was in Minneapolis. It might have been in Atlanta because I know his congregation is in Atlanta. Pastor Jamal Bryant, I have nothing against him. He's my fraternity brother. Again, great order. That's Gina with a J on Instagram. Please go follow her too. She's Lorena. You like book talk? She's always going through books. That's how I found her. In fact, she was doing a review of the book James by Percival Everett, and I was like, "Oh, I got to read that book." So please check her out. But she just did that response. I'm like, yeah, like That's how I first heard about all this news of the boycott is over. Now, what's interesting, so before I came on today's episode, I did a little research here, just like, okay, what is going on? What is going on? Because that was the first video I saw, and I'm like, okay, first of all, as long as I'm Black, I'm not going back to Target. So until that changes, I'm not going back to Target. I mean, I appreciate you, Newt, fellow frat brother, and Passer. I personally shan't be in the red circle with the little red dot in the center. Now, I'm telling you, if in a few weeks, a few months, you start seeing his church, I don't know the name of his church, but you start seeing there's that new wing built. They got 3,200 new seats, and you got some red circles out front. We're going to know maybe what happened. We're going to know what happened. But there's plenty of headlines about it. There was one from, this one here is from, so I want to bring them up here as I'm talking about it, but this one was from USA Today. A Target boycott ends with no concessions or DEI rollbacks. Here's why. Now, to me, that's a very filthy headline. I mean, it's true. It's true as all get out, but it's very filthy. Very filthy, because that's like, these niggas ain't do nothing. But reading it, you're like, okay, so there were some demands. If you guys didn't know, there was a, let's see, it was because he started a what was it, a 40-day fast? He started a 40-day fast in March of 2025, and the official Target boycott started February 1 of 2025. Most of us, I think I joined the boycott February 1st. I think I literally got the last thing from Target, I really want to say January 31st, if I'm not mistaken. And I knew I was going to be down like 10 toes after that. But so there was, so I think what he was maybe talking about was he started the 40-day fast. He then goes on to say that the boycott's over. So I don't know how you can end something that you didn't start. If y'all remember Georgia Fort, who's also just arrested in Minneapolis, she posted a little bit of a more clarifying video, which I think helps. And y'all check this out.
I am so confused. The national Target boycott did not end. So why are all these outlets saying that it did? Let's back up a little bit. A quick Google search will show you two different things started last year. A 40-day Target fast started on March 5th, which was Ash Wednesday. It galvanized the clergy and church community to boycott Target. The national Target boycott started a month earlier, on February 1st, and has continued without interruption. So the leader of the 40-day fast that ended last April said he's now ending the boycott too.
We have not been able to get all that we have desired, but I am grateful for the strides that we have made.
But the three founders in Minnesota, where Target is headquartered and where the national Target boycott started, say they're still holding the line.
Don't be fooled. The Target boycott continues. It continues because the demands have yet to be met, and it continues because we are winning.
So the national Target boycott started on February 1st in Minneapolis by Nikema, Jaylani, and Monique. Then a month later, the 40-day Target fast started on March 5th by Pastor Jamal, who is the one now calling for the end of the boycott. But the question remains, how can you end something you admitted you didn't start?
Y'all not gonna like this, but it's things that make you go, And Nikema Levi Armstrong, for historical record, is the one who started the Target boycott. She called for accountability for this Fortune 500 company in the city that Target is located in. The same company that is harboring ICE agents, who is using their parking lots for them to set up. The same organization that pledged $2 billion and still have not turned over the receipts. The same company who the day after the inauguration of President Donald John Trump withdrew its position on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and she's the first one they get arrested? Super bad sister.
Okay, so I mean that clarifies a little bit of it, but I'm still like, okay, but Jamal, why are you saying it's over? Like, you didn't even start this thing. Who told you, Jamal? And I appreciate you saying that to the whites, but I shan't be in a target. Okay, I shan't. You guys speak Negro French. I shan't be in a target. Maybe a JC Penney, but no target. Not today or another day. There's a lot. Y'all gotta. So y'all gotta pick up on it. But listen, there were some demands made by the boycott on the front end. Some of the demands were an investment into Black-owned businesses and Black communities that Target claims to serve, the reinstatement of the DEI department, and of course, to hire more Black people and women, of course, more marginalized people. According to Axios.com, they said leaders who highlight the boycott's success pointed to Target's 2021 pledge to fulfill its $2 billion investment in Black-owned businesses. That means that's something that they were already going to do. That they were already going to. We're going to read that again. Leaders who highlight the boycott's success pointed to Target's 2021 pledge to fulfill its $2 billion investment in Black-owned businesses. So that's something they were already going to do from 2021. So to claim victory of an organization for doing something they were already going to do is crazy work. And they've been doing it for 5 years. So that doesn't sit right with me. That we got super here saying like, well, we're going to push them to do this. And now they're saying, we're going to uphold what we doing. We said we're going to do in 2021. Invest $2 billion. And that's what the same $2 billion. It's never changed. It's going to be the same $2 billion. We're investing into AI, so y'all come back. And now Jamal Bryant is saying it's over. It doesn't make sense. Target, now on the Target side, one of their officials said that no policies were reversed or reinstated as a result of the conversation with the boycott leaders. No policies were reversed or reinstated as a result of the conversations with the boycott leaders. So still no DEI department, still no major hiring of Black people or women. And they called the boycotts unhelpful. They called it unhelpful. They said y'all boycotting them for taking away DEI. This is what Target said. Axios.com. Y'all read it yourselves. They said it's unhelpful. So for Jamal Bryant to claim victory, and they've listened to our feedback, and I think they're ready to listen, they're ready to learn, they're ready to sit, and they're going to read White Fragility as a company. I don't know. I think they're all going to watch Black Panther on Wednesday night on the matinee. They're going to have a Target. They're going to wear kente cloths on Sunday. Instead of a Pizza Hut, they're going to start having, I don't know, some soul food. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. And you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of when the Democrats reopened the government. And they were like, well, we're going to reopen the government because the Republicans promised us that they're going to vote on healthcare subsidies. They promised us. And what happened? The boycott's over because they listened to us. Lorena here said, yeah, but I saw their stocks were way down. Yes. So then now they're also trying to soft land even the bad news of how bad they're doing. They said, actually, we were doing bad before the boycott. We were doing bad before the boycott, Negroes. My thing is, if you were already doing bad, why would you make it worse? And now you have a new CEO who was the COO. So it's not like he was an outside hire. He was already a part of the vile machine. Why would you double down on what was making it hard for you? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So I don't know, how can Jamal claim victory when you've got nothing that you asked for? This can't be the victory you were claiming. Like, this can't be the victory that you was like, yeah, this double O, right? No, V, not double O. It doesn't make sense. And and I think that they're missing the point of the boycott. The point of the boycott is not to just be upset with, Target for getting rid of it's to remind people, like, y'all can't play with us. You can't play with us because you're doing all this stuff, with black people, not for black people, but with black people, and supporting black people and putting our business out there. But then all of a sudden, it's like now we're taking it away. Now we're taking it away, and like that's why black people internally we felt something was wrong, and we said, nah, like y'all are playing with us. And yes, are there companies out there? Amazon has a way worse DEI structure compared to Target. I've heard that feedback. Yeah. But this was one time where we felt we were somewhat more simpatico. We felt this is a more progressive company. After the murder of George Floyd, we're like, okay, they get it. Dante Wright. Okay. They're at least gesturing towards the right direction. But the problem was when you make a decision based off fear in one direction, you will make another decision based off fear in the other direction. And that's exactly what happened when Donald Trump got in office. They said, well, we were afraid to, that's why we did the George Floyd stuff, and Trump's going to sue us into oblivion. But now you just look fucking racist. Trump's losing 95 out of 100 cases in court. You're a multi-billion-dollar international organization. You could have sued the Department of Justice into the ground. But this is something I like to call white solidarity gaslighting. It's where white people don't want to get in the way of other racist white people, they're racist brethren, because one, they either they don't think racism is that bad and it doesn't impact them, or two, they agree with it. And again, going back to my point from a few minutes ago, they ultimately are more afraid of white people than everybody else. They're more afraid of their own kind than everybody else. And we're seeing that at the corporate level. That's why they get those jobs. That's why they move up. That's why they get into those positions of power. Because you will be called on. You will be needed at a certain point. But yeah, the message has to be that they can play with us, because if we can say that, like, hey, remember that company back in 2025 that was doing that racist shit? Yeah, look what happened to them. But if they can say, yeah, you can do some racist shit, because look, in 2025, we had a little bit of a dip, but then they came right back. Yeah, we knew it wasn't going to be long term. We knew it wasn't going to be a long term thing. In fact, that's what one of the if I'm going to go back to that quote. So after they said it was unhelpful, one of the leaders of Target said, the truth is people were going to come back anyway. People were going to come back anyway. It was not going to be a long-lasting boycott. This is what they think about you. They said, we can be fucking racist. This country's racist. You know it's racist. This is manipulated. This is manipulative behavior. This is malignant narcissism behavior. This is the bad boyfriend syndrome, which I say the Democrats are absolutely plagued with. And I was the chair. I said all the time, the Democrats are the bad boyfriend syndrome. And think about it. Dare I say that Target as an organization is a very good reflection of the Democratic Party. Seems progressive, right? Does all the right things, got the pride up when they need be, but they'll move it back to the back of the store when they have to. They got the black stuff up when they need to, but then they'll take it away when they need to, right? They overwork the people. They don't care about a living wage. It's all the things that the Democratic Party is, but just like a bad boyfriend syndrome, it's where you gonna go? You going to Walmart? You going to Walmart? They got the NASCAR Confederate flags on the t-shirts. Oh, you don't like the busyness of Walmart, meaning poor people? You like Target. You like it here. Yeah. Sit down. Go get that Starbucks. Go get your kid that pizza. Go into the toy area. Go walk our clothing. Go look at our home goods. Go get you some new towels. Where the fuck are you gonna go? It's the bad boyfriend syndrome. we have to say enough is enough. We got to become Angela Bassett in Waiting to Exhale with that cigarette. And we are. So Jamal Bryant, we appreciate you, brother, but I think you're out of your lane, personally. If y'all want to go back, drop it in the comments. Looks like the comments today have been saying absolutely fucking not. Excuse me. And good. I'm gonna leave it here today because I'm right at an hour and I feel good about that. I had one more story, but I can save it for tomorrow. Now that I'm feeling like let's compartmentalize it. I'm trying to revamp the show. I'm always trying to do little tweaks and twists, so I'll try to do something different. But thank y'all for tuning in to the Roots Rundown. Hopefully y'all enjoyed today. Sorry for a little bit of a hiatus. Still, a little, even after doing this, I'm still like a little bit warm, sweaty, palms, knees weak, arms are sweaty, mom spaghetti. I feel like an Eminem song. But no, it was great jumping back on the mic, and folks have been really engaged, and I love y'all talking to each other and continuing this stuff. Did we agree on the book? I don't know. But again, folks, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Roots Radical Roots podcast and platform, the Roots Rundown. Please share this episode if you enjoyed it. Again, we're here every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, except when I'm sick, because then your boy will be face down, ass up on the couch, sweating like a pig in heat. So it was great talking to y'all on the mic. And of course, if y'all can, donate to the Radical Roots podcast. This is how we keep this thing alive. Again, every couple bucks goes a long way. If you maybe send it to somebody, say, hey, if you want to donate to these guys, they got some good stuff going on. We have, for Women's History Month, we have some good guests coming up on our full shows. So, excuse me, please tune into that. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. And I got one more message to send us out on a funny note for Pastor Jamal Bryant. And if not, if I don't see y'all again, I will see y'all tomorrow. Let me play this here. There we go. And peace.
Wanted to be one of the first in our communities to reach out and extend an apology to Target. There seems some confusion afoot today. Pastor Jamal Bryant took to the internet today to state that the boycott on Target has ended, and I just wanted to make sure that Target knew. Bitch, no, it didn't. We didn't say fuck Target for a year. We said fuck Target forever. I don't give a fuck what Jamal got to say.